Hotep family, this is Michael Imhotep, host of the Michael Imhotep Show and founder of the African History Network. I want to welcome everybody to our YouTube channel and to invite you to listen to the Michael Imhotep Show tonight, Friday, October 2nd, 2015, 10 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time on the Empowerment Radio Network. Tonight, we're going to deal with part two of solutions to problems facing the African American community. Solutions to problems facing the African American community. Okay. Last night we did part one in that series, and we're going to continue the discussion tonight. It came out of our Tuesday and Wednesday night shows where we dealt with 11 acts of white affirmative action created by the U.S. government throughout history. 11 acts of white affirmative action created by the U.S. government throughout history. These shows are archived. Go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. At the top of the page, click on Radio Shows and click on the link for the Michael Imhotep Show, and there's the link there for the audio podcast. We have over 450 episodes of our show archived, okay? So, and last night's show is archived also, where we dealt with part one. We also have a solutions tab on our website over to the right at the top of the page over to the right. If you click on solutions, we have like 24 solutions listed there. We got through about, I think, 11 or 12 of them last night. I'm going to continue, and then I have some other solutions that I have not put on the website yet. We're going to talk about that some tonight. The call-in number is 888-669-2281. 888-669-2281 is the call-in number. We definitely want to hear from you. We're going to post the information on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. We have over 530,000 followers on our Facebook fan page. Follow us on the fan page. We have a lot of articles that we post there throughout the day and video clips, things like this. And we'll post the information for tonight's show there. And to listen to the show, download the TuneIn Radio app to your Android phone, your iPhone, your BlackBerry, your tablet. Search for Empowerment Radio Network, Empowerment Radio Network, or go to TuneIn.com, and search for Empowerment Radio Network, Empowerment Radio Network. On tunein.com also, okay? And once again, all these shows are archived on our website and on our Blog Talk Radio page, blogtalkradio.com/The African History Network Show, blogtalkradio.com/The African History Network Show. Now, also on tonight's show, we're going to deal with some topics that we could not get to last night, because last night we dealt with the mass shooting in Oregon at the community college, and then we also dealt with part one, dealing with solutions. How many people remember the movie Soul Food, starring Vivica Fox and Nia Long and Vanessa Williams? Okay, well, there's going to be a sequel to the movie Soul Food. Came out, I think, 1996, 97. Excellent movie. It's going to be a sequel. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, if you remember the Eric Harris shooting death in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Reserve Deputy Sheriff Robert Bates shot Eric Harris, who was fleeing in a sting operation, and he shot him, and he said it was an accident. He said he was going for his taser. Instead of grabbing his taser, he grabbed his sidearm and shot and killed him. Well, the Tulsa sheriff over that sheriff's department has been indicted and resigned. Okay, we're going to talk about that some, and then also Whole Foods has announced that it's going to stop using prison labor to produce food. Okay, a lot of people didn't know some of their products were produced by prison labor. So we'll talk a little bit about that tonight as well. We'll deal with this date in African American history, and we'll talk about James Meredith also. Okay, so we're gonna have a great show tonight. I know it's a Friday. A lot of people can stay up later during the week. A lot of people can't listen to the show live, but listen in live tonight. And you can call in with questions or comments. 888-669-2281. 888-669-2281 is the call-in number. Last night we talked about recycling, our $1.3 trillion economy. We spend about 2% of our dollars with people that don't look like us. I provided a lot of articles to support what I'm talking about. And the same thing I have when you look at the solutions on our website, I have links to articles and video clips to support those points also. I shared the example that took place last year, September 2014, and I interviewed two members of the Kansas City chapter of the National Black United Front about this. But Fox 4 News in Kansas City had an article, Buy Black Empowerment Movement Sees Progress in Kansas City. Buy Black Empowerment Movement Sees Progress in Kansas City. Now, this took place in September 2014, about 1 month after, about 1 month exactly after the shooting death of Michael Brown, August 9th, 2014. The article says the African American community is being urged not to do any shopping Monday unless it's with a black owned business. It's part of Blackout Monday, a movement organized by the National Black United Front in response to civil unrest in Ferguson, Missouri. Workers at Leon's Thriftway, which is a grocery store, workers at Leon's Thriftway tell Fox 4 News they often see customers who make a special trip to buy their groceries at this store, specifically because it's the only African American owned grocery store around. Okay, now there's some apps and websites that list African American owned businesses that can help us move from 2% to 10%. Spending our disposable income. Buyblack365.com, buyblack365.com. That's an online African American owned business directory. Also, blacktradelines.com, blacktradelines.com, and also aroundthewayapp.com, aroundthewayapp.com. Around the Way, there's an Around the Way app. You can just download that from your Google Play Store or what have you, whatever wherever you download your apps from on your platform. But the Around the Way app uses your GPS on your phone to locate African American owned businesses in your area. And I covered the launch of that app. I talked about it before it even started. I think it started back in 2012. So I talked about it going back then on my show, the African History Network show. We share some clips from Dr. Claude Anderson, also Malcolm X, Dr. King, Marcus Garvey. You hear the video. You know, we posted the video on YouTube. Dr. King, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X talking about economic empowerment. That was me that posted that. Delzino Wilson from Black Business Builders created that. We put that on YouTube. We play that on our shows. I share that in a lot of my presentations, a lot of my lectures also. Okay, now. Today, I was interviewed on a TV show called The Boardroom on UIN TV. Okay, The Boardroom. And we talked about how to recycle African American dollars, why they don't circulate, things like this. And what was extremely important for people to talk to know is, and I said this in the show, and actually we'll have clips of it probably this weekend. We'll put it on our YouTube channel also. Every ethnic group in America, for the most part, has their history and culture intact. They use it to fight for scarce wealth, power, and resources. They're not fighting for equality. They're not trying to be equal to people. They're trying to win a real life monopoly game where you have real winners and real losers. And this is what Dr. Claude Anderson, is one of my teachers, has been talking about for a long time. If you go to our website, you know, we have some interviews archived that I've done with Dr. Claude Anderson. I've interviewed him 3 times. Last time was, I think it was August 20th, August 18th, something like that. I think it was August 20th. Check out that. I was guest hosting the Roland Martin radio show. I guest hosted for Roland a number of times. And I brought Dr. Claude Anderson on because he was doing a lecture in Baltimore that weekend. And I wanted to talk about some things to help promote his lecture. But for the most part, African Americans, we've been stripped of our history and culture. Okay. And this is why many of us don't know that African people are indigenous to North, Central, and South America. We've been in this territory we call the United States at least 51,700 years. Okay, if you read the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence by Dr. David Imhotep, he breaks this down. The first Americans were Africans, documented evidence by Dr. David Imhotep. He breaks this down, okay? His book has 713 footnotes and uses 13 different disciplines to thoroughly document an African presence in this country going back at least 51,700 years ago. In South America, going back at least 56,000 years ago. But there's new evidence that came out last year in an article from the New York Times, which pushes that date back to about 100,000 years. Okay, so it's the history and culture that people use to fight for scarce wealth, power, and resources. And that culture is the cohesiveness that binds them together, that teaches them that the only way that they're going to survive is through self-reliance. Okay, that has been stripped away from us for the most part. Dr. Marimba Ani, who wrote Urugu, an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior, and also Let the Circle Be Unbroken, she talks about how culture is an immune system that protects you from aliens coming in trying to attack you, and also helps you to identify who your friends are, who your enemies are, who your opponents are. Okay, so we'll post that clip from the interview. We'll post some clips this weekend, so check that out. But what's important for us to understand is that we get overwhelmed with different symptoms of the problem. Okay, just like in Cleveland, I think it was yesterday, there was a 5-month-old girl who was shot and killed, and the Cleveland police chief was in tears because he was heartbroken over this shooting and saying that, you know, this has to stop. Okay, and we have to catch this person who shot and killed her. So we get overwhelmed with teenage pregnancy, with lack of education, the school to prison pipeline, lack of fathers in the home, mass incarceration, things like this. Those are symptoms of the problems. Those are not the problems. We only have two root problems. Number one, European white supremacy and racism, and we don't understand what it is and how it works. And if you do not understand European white supremacy and racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you think that you understand will totally confuse you. Everything else that you think that you understand will totally confuse you. Number two, we've been stripped of African history and culture because of European white supremacy and racism. Okay, now it's important for us to understand that African people, African Americans, have to become the number one employees of our own people. We have to become the number one employees of our own people. Dr. Claude Anderson's been talking about this and teaching us about this. George Frazier, who wrote Success Runs in Our Race, Race for Success, Click, and he's featured in Hidden Colors 3. I know George Frazier. He talks about this as well. Extremely important for us to grasp these concepts, okay? And the history lays a foundation to show us real life examples of African American entrepreneurship, of what we used to do, of the history and culture that we have to reclaim. Stephen Biko, one of our great South African freedom fighters, talks about how, or you talked about how the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressor. We have to take back our minds from the oppressor. Now, when we deal with racism, most people are totally confused about what racism is. Racism has nothing to do with not liking people, hating people, calling people racial epithets. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Okay? To be racist, you have to belong, number one, to that dominant race. And racism is a group-to-group relationship. Racism is not individual to individual. That's bigotry. Okay? Okay, or it could be prejudice. All right, racism is a group-to-group relationship. This is what we don't understand. Racism occurs when one race of people controls the majority of the wealth, power, resources, businesses, privileges, access to education, access to opportunity, access to jobs, etc. And they use that to marginalize, subordinate, and do harm to another race of people. Okay, this is what racism is. Check on YouTube, I posted a video, white racism versus black racism. Most people are confused about what racism is. Check that video out. White racism versus black racism. Most people are confused about what racism is. That's on one of our other channels. I have Dr. Joy DeGruy in there, Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, and Dr. Edward Robinson, breaking down from a historical perspective, not the definition that's in the fictionary, but from a historical perspective, what racism is. European white supremacy is the ideology, okay, that gave birth to the system of racism, all right? And it's designed to preserve genetic white survival, okay? If you read pages 3 through 7 of Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, he breaks this down in there. I deal with this a lot in some of my presentations. Some of you have seen some of my presentations. You can order my DVDs from my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. I have 22 of my DVD presentations there. I deal with this in presentations like Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, I also deal with this, my latest presentation, this one right here. See if you can see it. Empire Strikes Black, the propaganda of the media. Empire Strikes Black, the propaganda of the media. Also do a short presentation in here on Malcolm X. Malcolm X, 50 years later, why is he still relevant? I did this presentation in Detroit, April 5th, 2015, Easter Sunday. Okay, that's a 4-hour presentation. And we deal with the propaganda of the media. I show you throughout history how the media has been used to attack African Americans and how that was a pretext of race riots that broke out, etc. And then we relate that to the TV show Empire and break down Empire as well. And I also do a background analysis on Lee Daniels. Also, because a lot of people have no clue who this guy is and his history. Okay, now, so be sure to tune into the show tonight, Friday, October 2nd, 2015. 10 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time on the Empowerment Radio Network. We're going to have the information posted on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TuneIn.com, and Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TuneIn.com, and Periscope at Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. I don't know if we'll broadcast on Periscope tonight. I have to see. All right, let me leave you a couple of quotes here. Dr. W.B. Du Bois in 1935 said, there exists today a chance for blacks to organize a cooperative state within their own group by letting Negro farmers feed Negro artisans, and Negro artisans guide home industries, and thinkers plan this integration of cooperation, while artists dramatize and beautify the struggle. Economic independence can be achieved. Economic independence can be achieved. To doubt that this is possible is to doubt the essential humanity and the quality of brains of black people. Okay, now this is Dr. W.B. Du Bois in 1935. Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1933, The Miseducation of the Negro. And we really need to study Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Okay, I deal with him. I have a presentation, Should African Americans Celebrate Black History Month, Exposing the Myths. Some of you have seen the clip that I put on YouTube talking about John Hanson was not president, the black John Hanson was not president, and showing that and show how he was not on the back of the $2 bill and dispelling his nonsensical myths, things like this. Check that out. We have it on YouTube, but that is from my presentation, Should African Americans Celebrate Black History Month, Exposing the Myths, where I deal with the whole history of Black History Month, African American History Month, why it was created, what we need to do to make it relevant for today and the future. I'm not against celebrating it, but first, one of my teachers, Professor Kaba Kamene, also known as Booker T. Coleman, talks about how to understand the existence of something, you first must understand the pre-existence of existence. So most of us don't understand the history of African American History Month, which started out as Negro History Week in 1926. Why it was created? What was the purpose of it? Okay, don't understand how to properly celebrate it. Okay, so this is why, unfortunately, the majority of the celebrations deal with history from 1619 up until now. Well, number one, African people have been here at least 51,700 years. That's never talked about, number one. Number two, we don't understand that it was also designed to study the history and accomplishments of African people on the continent of Africa. It was never designed just to deal with from 1619 up until today, and it was never designed to be the only time of the year that we study our history. That's ridiculous. Okay, June is Black Music Month. June is Black Music Month. Go look that up. Google that. Black Music Month. Okay. In the month of June, you see all types of celebrations on TV and PBS specials and VH1 specials, things like this, CNN celebrating African American Music Month. Okay, nobody ever said that June is the only time of the year you can listen to black music. So why would you think that February is the only month of the year to celebrate or study African American history? That's ridiculous. You've been listening to Morgan Freeman too much. Okay, all right, now Dr. Carter G. Woodson said, in the schools of business administration, Negroes are trained excessively in the psychology and economics of Wall Street. In the schools of business administration, I graduated from business school, Wayne State University. I graduated from business school, so I understand what he's talking about. Okay, but I was lucky enough to also study African history, African American history and culture, things like this, while I was studying, while I was in business school also. Now, he said in the schools of business administration, Negroes are trained excessively in the psychology and economics of Wall Street, and are therefore made to despise the opportunities to run ice wagons, push banana carts, and sell peanuts among their own people. Foreigners, foreigners who have not studied economics but have studied Negroes take up this business and grow rich. Foreigners who have not studied economics but have studied Negroes take up this business and grow rich. This came from an article from AfricanGlobe.net a couple of years ago entitled Black Leaders Present Black Economic Empowerment. Black leaders present Black economic empowerment. Check that out. Okay, look, we got to get out of here. I have to get ready for tonight's show. Be sure to tune into the show tonight. You can call in also with questions and comments. We want to hear from you. 888-669-2281. 888-669-2281 is the call-in number. Visit our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. The African History Network. We'll also have the information for the show there. And once again, listen to the show. Download the TuneIn Radio app to your Android phone, iPhone, BlackBerry, tablet. Search for Empowerment Radio Network, or go to tunein.com, T-U-N-E, tunein.com, search for Empowerment Radio Network. We also have the link on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, remember, what you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you is based upon what you think about yourself. Right now, let's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Imhotep. We'll talk to you tonight. Peace.